have you tweeted?
All right. Little light control there. Okay, we are live. Hey, welcome back. No.
No. What?
It's like I've seen that going live with the newscast, and the newscaster's off, just like, yeah, I saw that movie last week. Oh, we're on? Oh.
I've seen that a
Newscasters
couple
don't
times
last
at the
long.
local stations.
Yeah, those guys don't last long, unfortunately. But, okay. So, let's get the sound effect ready. That is not the sound effect. There's the sound effects. And let's hope this comes out.
Back in my day, we had to make our own sound effects.
Ah,
We really did.
All right, so let's start in 5, 4, 3, 2.
Battle commencing in
The Ravenmold.
10 seconds.
Trigger. The spirits guide your hand.
This hero's getting on my nerves.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Prepare for combat.
Greetings, heroes. Welcome to Prepare for Combat episode number 22 for August 13th, 2014. This is Accusod. And joining us from his glorious vacation, his being off last week, we've got Alakaz.
Well, I'm not going to say it was glorious being off. I mean, I had mic trouble, and there was a car, and I mean, all sorts of things went wrong. And you know what? I'm just glad to be back. I'm just going to say.
Yeah, I heard there were aliens, some sort of probing. We're not going to go into the pictures. They were.
My roof leaked. I mean, there were just a lot of things that just. I'm like, I'm done. I'm done. I'm out.
Dog ate my podcast.
All right,
All
I'm done
right,
with that.
sitting over our third seat, we've got Brian Black, also known as Ro.
I just want to say we are now into week number 22 of this podcast, and we have yet to satisfy those who want StarCraft Warriors and Diablo support characters. Where's Deckard Cain? Seriously, where's Deckard Cain?
Is that a new game show? Like, where in the world is Deckard?
Where in the world is Deckard Cain? Where in the
Okay.
Nexus is Deckard Cain?
That's a good question. Yeah.
I'm just-
So Ro, sorry, go
I'm
ahead.
just waiting for like an a cappella group to come in and be like, "Where in the world is Deckard Cain?"
See, I was gonna go there, but I said no, that would be silly.
You don't worry.
I could do the bass in the background. But anyway,
That'd be awesome.
I was gonna say, don't worry about that, son. You know I'm gonna go to that level. You don't have to worry
Absolutely.
about that not happening.
it's true.
I knew you had that one. You had my back on that one. All right, Alcaz, since you've been gone for 2 weeks, you've got a lot to report on. What have you been up since our last show that you were on 2 weeks ago?
Well, really, I think the last show they hadn't even done the patch at that point. But when I was last on, they've patched at that point. I got lots of money. Went out, bought 2 heroes right out the gate. Murky being my first hero that I purchased. Love me some Murky, and then purchased actually the new hero, Rhaegar. So,
Nice. What do you think of him?
You know, I've played a little bit with him. I haven't done too much. I've really stepped back from the verses into more of the cooperative games to do my dailies, mainly because I just, especially with him, I'm not a great healer. I'm not a good healer. I don't have the mentality for it. You know, growing up in World of Warcraft as I did, as a tank, I like being in the fray and being able to take massive amounts of damage.
I don't think I've ever seen you heal in Warcraft.
I have a healer. It's a druid. So, unfortunately, in World of Warcraft, I do cause healer itch, is what I call it. It can lead to death. So,
I think there's a cream for that, or maybe an ointment of some sort.
they haven't made one strong enough for my healing yet. With that being said, so I've been doing a lot of cooperative in that, doing a lot of dailies. I actually love the new actual knight, the Garden of Terror. I think that's a really cool design, and it's really unique, especially on cooperative, because we were kind of wondering what happened and how all the seeds transferred over, and I got to see really how that works. And I even got to be the Knight Terror once. That was really unique to see. And then I've been playing a lot of Hearthstone, amazingly enough. It's not a game I typically play, but since they've launched Naxxramas, gosh darn you, Blizzard! It has been stealing my time.
I tend to agree. I love Hearthstone, but I never really got into it as much as everyone else had until Naxxramas came out, and I'm definitely now those. Okay, just one more game, just one more try. I can beat them this time. Just one more try.
I'm not kidding. Like my roof, we have monsoon season here in Arizona, and I had a leak in my roof last night. Type of idea.
This is a desert, right?
Yes, it is. Yeah, but we still have monsoon season. It's okay. It's okay. So I'm like calling plumbers in between Hearthstone games, or not plumbers, like roofers. Excuse me. I'm calling roofers in between Hearthstone games. Like, can you come out and check my house? All right, one more game. I got this. I got her. Okay. Now can you? No, I got a 3 o'clock guy. Are you good for 4? All right, good. Another Hearthstone game. Blizzard has done really well with that one.
Very, very well. Okay, Ro, what have you been up to since last we talked?
A little bit of raiding in World of Warcraft. As far as Heroes of the Storm goes, just kind of doing the usual thing, getting dailies done. That's pretty much the way I play Heroes right now. Is I play just enough games to get my dailies done, so that I'm slowly but surely accumulating gold to buy all the new heroes that are going to be coming out in the next few months that we'll be talking about shortly. That said, the gold grind is this 200 gold change is bad. I do not like it.
Brian, did you want to do a plug for Deckard Cain there as well?
We'll get to that in a sec. I'll get to that shortly.
So now, of course, they went from 250 to 200 or 500 to 200, depending on how many quests or how hard you do. Do you think if they went from 200 to 250, it would really make that big of a difference?
Yes.
Yeah.
Really? Okay. It wouldn't seem to be that much of a strain on them. Just type a 5 in there and in the computer someplace, and it gives up.
And I guess one thing that kind of strikes me as weird is you have a quest where you can get 200 gold for playing 2 games, or you can get 200 gold for playing 2 games as a specialist, or 2 as a support, or 2 as a warrior. Something seems a little off about that. It feels to me that if you're going to have a quest where you can play a number of games as anyone, that should probably be like 3 games as anyone, or 2 games as a specific role. So here I am actually arguing that they should nerf the number of games for any, and make it actually like 3 games for any role if you're going to do 2 for a specific role and then 1 for just like winning a game.
Okay, I hear a lot of background noise. I think the NSA has stepped in. Is it Alakaz? Is that you?
What's going on?
I hear a lot of background noise. It sounds like somebody's running a piece of wood across a shag carpet. And now it is gone.
I know my AC just kicked on.
Yeah, we can hear it.
Well, I don't hear it as bad now.
Yeah. You muted.
All right. Well,
Okay,
there's an edit point for you.
It's always something. It's always a challenge one way or the other. All right, so let's go on to, whoops, I've lost control of everything. There it is. Let's go on to this week's news.
Here be some fine booty.
All right, this week Blizzard announced 3 new heroes, and we talked about Chen Stormstout, words are hard, last week. But, Ro, you want to take us through the 2 new ones?
Yeah, so it got announced at Gamescom that we are going to be seeing Anubarak and Azmodan in the near future. Now, Azmodan, for people who have not played Diablo 3, Azmodan is one of the big bads in Diablo 3, and Anubarak is a main character primarily from both Warcraft 3 and portions of Wrath of the Lich King in World of Warcraft.
Now, Anubarak was the one where he was the Trials of the Champion, and the floor dropped down, and you landed in his chamber.
Yeah, and he was also a 5-man boss too, and then he came back as a raid boss later in the expansion.
Gotcha. I think I missed the 5-man, but I did plenty of the raids. I know Alakaz was tanking for those. Remember, he dropped him many times. So, Azmodan, you said, was from Diablo 3?
Yeah, he's the final boss in Act 3. Yeah, final boss in Act 3. And he's this kind of big, demonic, almost somewhat spider-looking like thing. He has, like, you know, he walks on like 4 or 6 legs that kind of looks somewhat insect-like. He has this big mouth in the center of his chest, almost kind of similar to Stitch's, but just a real big baddie-looking kind of thing. And just looking at the video where they showed clips of the heroes, it looks like Azmodan has abilities like a laser ability and a fireball ability, which kind of mimics some of the things that he did during the boss encounter in Diablo 3.
I love that. All right, Alakaz, which of these new 3 characters do you think you're most interested in?
That's a tough call. I really want to see what class they go with on them to make my judgment on it. Because I almost see Chen as being somewhat of a support, you know, going the way we've seen some monks go in World of Warcraft. But Azmodan, I think they might make go tank, and I think that might be an interesting play style of tank. So that's where I'm kind of throwing my pieces in. We'll see.
Do you see any of them? Now, of course, they didn't really explain a lot. It was just a teaser video. You got to see some gameplay footage. I didn't really get to grasp what kind of characters are going to be.
To me, it looks like we're getting 3 warriors. I mean, I can't... Considering how... we know that Chen's going to be a warrior. That was revealed at China Joy. And to me, I just don't see Anub'arak or Azmodan being the assassin type. They just feel they look and feel too slow and bulky to be tanky assassins. Right, they look tanky. Now, could I see one of them perhaps being a specialist? I could see Anub'arak being a specialist because in the video clip he did have an ability where he summoned scarab minions, and summoning ads tends to be something that you see more often and not in specialist roles. So Anub'arak might be a specialist. They're definitely not support. So I would say either warrior, definitely warrior for Azmodan, and either warrior or possibly specialist for Anub'arak.
All right. Now something else that they saw, I caught in that video, just flash by, kind of a side topic. They made this big thing saying to sign up for the beta, go to heroesofthestorm.com. And it's the first time I think I've actually seen the word beta used in relation to this game officially, unless I've just missed it. Do you think we're close to an actual beta?
Well, I don't think it's the first time they've used beta. I know when I went to BlizzCon, the beta was thrown around a ton there. So I think they're just trying to amp up the numbers to say, hey, the beta is coming, the beta is coming. Is it close? Who knows? I mean, look, I think tomorrow's announcement for World of Warcraft is going to really change my prediction for Heroes of the Storm.
Oh, tomorrow they announce the actual launch date?
Yeah.
I think that we will have a more definitive date or time frame for the beta come BlizzCon. I think at BlizzCon they will be saying the beta begins next week or the beta begins in Q1 or something like that. I think they will try to give somewhat of a time frame for when alpha becomes beta, though, at BlizzCon. I think when we get to BlizzCon, I believe we will still be in alpha, but we'll know when the beta is coming.
Okay, I'm going to go all in, and I'm going to say they're going to announce day 1 of BlizzCon, open beta that day. That'll be the big announcement.
Open?
Heroes of the Storm, open beta, come play right now. That's my guess. I will bet 200 gold on that.
I'll take. I wish I could trade gold, and I'd take you up on that bet. I don't think it's going to be open at the beginning, but I think we will switch to beta or get announcement beta at BlizzCon.
Okay, so I'm saying beta, you're saying beta announcement. Steve, what's your thought of BlizzCon? What will we have?
I think BlizzCon is going to be a combination of both of what you said. I don't think it's going to be open beta when the doors open. I think there's going to be a panel about halfway through, and they're going to say, oh, by the way, guess what? Beta starts now. Because they're famous for doing those little things where, so those people who are watching the live stream, we get something out of it as well. we get something out of it as well. So I have a funny feeling that's going to be the, hey, we're announcing Heroes of the Storm, here's our new hero lineup, here's who's coming, by the way, beta, go sign up, you can get in now. We're launching our 100 keys or whatever we're going to do, or open whatever it is. Here you go.
Yeah.
Okay, so we get 200 gold on the pot. We'll see who wins.
All right.
Speaking of announcements, Blizzard also announced that they are going to PAX Prime. Now, Ro, I know you know more about this one than I do, so you want to cover it?
Sure. PAX Prime is one of many different gaming conventions. I'm sure many of us have heard of PAX East. Not too long ago, there was talk about that. And PAX Prime is actually the main thing that Penny Arcade, the people behind PAX, put on, and that happens in Seattle. Blizzard is planning to have a presence at PAX Prime for a number of their games, including Heroes of the Storm. And on the page on the Heroes site that talks about PAX Prime, they do mention that 3 heroes are going to be announced at PAX Prime. So it's kind of interesting. We got the 3 heroes announced at Gamescom. PAX Prime is coming up at the end of the month. We're talking right at the end of August, early September. So my question is, are the 3 heroes are talking about PAX Prime, are they saying they're going to go into more detail about the ones we just found out about? Or are they actually giving us even 3 more heroes to talk about? I'm really hoping it's 3 more, because one thing that we've said on this show quite a bit is more heroes, more heroes.
More heroes.
Well, and I know just kind of going to the site and looking at it, it's saying, play brand new demo for Heroes of the Storm, and they are adding in the 3 new heroes, so they will have Asmodan, Anubarak, and Chem Stormstout available at PAX Prime for people to play. So I'm wondering if that's kind of what they're alluding towards.
Oh, hey, you know what? That's been changed then, because what happened a couple of days ago, before they announced these at Gamescom, when I looked at this page, they didn't. They just said 3 new heroes. So okay, so my bad. I did not look.
Brand new demo for Heroes of the Storm. Be among the first to try out 3 exciting new heroes: Anubarak, Asmodan,
so it is the same 3.
Yep.
Okay, so that's clarified. Cool, awesome. All right. Well, that's unfortunate. My hopes and dreams of possibly seeing Deckard Cain are put on hold even longer. I'm sorry. I know I go on and on about Deckard Cain almost like I go on and on about Green Fire and World of Warcraft. Diablo needs a support character. It doesn't have a support character. I think Deckard Cain would be an awesome support character. Let's make it happen. I want people to stay a while and listen to Deckard Cain. I just want his voice in the game, too.
That would actually be one of his spells. Stay a while and listen. That's got to be.
That's his heroic. Exactly. It's kind of similar to ETC's heroic ability. It's something that just stuns everyone. Everyone just sits down while Deckard Cain talks.
I really just think he puts a campfire out in the center, and there's some little log benches that show up, and all the heroes sit on it, and he just starts opening a book and telling a story, and that's the stun right there. That's it.
Yeah. There you go. Blizzard, you got it half mapped out. Yep. Got it half mapped out for you. Just knock it out.
So yeah, if these 3 heroes are going to be if you're going to be able to play them at PAX Prime before anyone else, to me that kind of gives the indication then that we probably will not see a build with these 3 heroes in until I would say mid-October, or no, not mid-October, mid-September.
Mid-September? All right.
Yeah, because if they're playable at PAX, they'll have them playable on the alpha not too long after.
Well, see, I'm thinking really, September 1st, PAX Prime finishes up. I think they'll patch that week afterwards, and we'll see them in.
Yeah.
I can see that. They're pretty good about going from announcement to pushing into the alpha pretty quickly, sometimes too quickly, as the case may be.
Because PAX Prime is the 29th through the 1st, so...
Yeah. Yeah, so the week after, sure.
All right, last topic for this week is the matchmaking post that Blizzard made. They put out a post clarifying a little more about their matchmaking system. As we know, it used to be an entire free-for-all. Then they patched it to try to do no more than 3 warriors, no more than 4 assassins one team, no more than 3 melee. And if the longer you wait, the kind of looser the rules get, just so you get in a game as soon as possible. Well, they put out a little more about the whole matchmaking session. And they're talking about how they're trying to be more intelligent about it based upon your class, your level, your how many wins. It's actually right now they said they're doing it basically versus wins versus losses, which I don't know why I'm not in like the absolute easy mode if you look at how many losses I've had. But you think it'd be kind of immediately easy. But they're really trying to fine-tune their matchmaking system.
Well, I think it's wise that they're going down this path because, even in Row we've done it. You talked about our raid team, and Zod, you're on the raid team as well. But as a raid leader in that group, I can tell you, if we're not killing bosses, people get bored, get frustrated, and want to get rolling. And I think it's the same thing in Heroes of the Storm. If I'm constantly losing, I'm not gonna play. That's actually what drove me away from Hearthstone for a while. Is I couldn't win a bloody game to save my life. Guess what? I'm not playing the game. It's the same concept of gambling to me type of idea. It's got to be, I've got to have some positive reinforcement to keep coming back. So I think that them changing where that matchmaking is instead of that free-for-all and really looking at possibly, okay, Zod, you are at a 30% win with 70% of your losses. We're gonna shove you down a little bit further. And I'm only saying that because you did, sir. I don't want to hear it out of you.
I'm level 40. Bring it on.
I know that you're over the 500. You're over 500. So I don't want to hear it. But I'm just saying, changing some of those I think are a good style mix for them.
Yeah, the thing about this article, the matchmaking article, that kind of interests me the most is near the end when they're talking about future improvements that they would like to make to their matchmaking system. And this one bullet point here I want to read out, it's the one that kind of caught me the most. They said, "We'd like you to feel comfortable playing with all of your favorite heroes, even if you're trying a hero out for the first time. We're looking into ways in which we can potentially adjust your individual skill rating by allowing the matchmaker to take into account how much you've played using your selected hero thus far and find even matches accordingly." And that, I think, is really important because while you might be amazing and awesome on Tyrael, if you play Lily for the first time and you've never played support, having a high rating on Tyrael doesn't mean squat if you're trying out support for the first time.
Yeah, that's me with Rhaegar. I'm pretty good with Tyrael. Rhaegar, ooh.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
So yeah,
I have to point out.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Okay, I'll go ahead. I'm kind of moving on to the other bullet point. Also in the same section, the article really kind of caught my interest was the one, we're also thinking about how we'd like to find matches for players who frequently abandon in-progress games and are considering matching so-called leavers with others who exhibit similar behaviors.
I can't imagine what those games are going to be like. Just 10 people sitting around doing nothing. The minions just bashing each other. You'll get into like a 60-minute match.
We have to try this. We'll get 10 people together and we'll all just sit at the entrance and see what happens. Just see what the minions can do on their own.
Well, my also question is, looking at this with future improvements, they're talking about levers. We've talked about it on here, the toxic environment. Now, I will say Heroes is not as toxic as League or any of the other games out there, and we know that. We saw some increase in the toxic environment. Are they also looking to see some of that? Are we going to pair toxic players up together to really see some of those matches?
They're just going to kick him out.
Oh, okay.
Well, I mean, it depends on what kind of system they incorporate into the game. It depends on if they incorporate certain flags or stuff to indicate, hey, this person's really toxic or kind of toxic or just not toxic at all. We have no idea exactly what kind of framework they're going to put in for that. Yeah.
Yeah. We've got star ratings behind the scene on how toxic we are.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so with that, let's move on to this week's Resource Spotlight. Ro, what do you have for us?
The resource spotlight. So not too long ago, I talked on the show about another podcast out there called Town Hall. One of the members of the team from Town Hall is named Sham2. He has his own YouTube channel, which you can find at, go to youtube.com/Sham2, which is spelled SCHAMTOO. And what he specializes in is a series called Free Week, which is basically tutorial videos for free-to-play heroes. It's a video series where Sham2 commentates nonstop about his thought process and how he plays a certain hero, and it's always a hero that's in the free-to-play rotation for whatever week he's posting the video out. So definitely worth checking out.
Oh, awesome. Outstanding. Okay, let's move on to Hero Spotlight. Alan, what do we have this week?
Gazlo!
Ooh. Gazlo. I can't do his voice. I was
Like,
going to try.
I didn't know if you had like a clip of Gazlo that you could play for us.
Wait, I got it. Nice explosion. I give it an 8.
Nice.
All right,
I'm so glad I got that on tape.
Gazlo with us today. So Gazlo is a specialist. He is a specialist, and I typically, when I have to do a specialist, it's either Gazlo or the Witch Doctor that I go to, and I know, Brian, talking to you, you said Gazlo is one of your main go-tos. Zod, how about you? Have you touched Gazlo a ton?
I've played with him a lot. He kind of freaks me out because, he's a goblin wearing a giant robot over his body that just kind of freaks me out in a weird way. I tend to go to the Witch Doctor just because I love the zombie circle.
You like the zombie circle. You like making the zombies get up and walk, don't you?
Yes. I just like trapping people. You're going nowhere for the next 3 seconds. You're staying right there.
Yeah.
See, now call me weird in a game that's all about, or not all about, but a game that focuses on team fighting and team brawling and all that stuff. I really like going for merc camps. I like going for merc camps. I like taking down towers. I like pushing lanes. And Gazlo is all about doing all of that. I mean, he can be all right if you are with a couple other people, but really the key thing about Gazlo, to me, at least the way I play him, is going out and taking all the merc camps, because he just has so many tools at his disposal where very early on, I would say by the time you get to level, definitely when you get your level 7 abilities, you can pretty much, solo siege giants easily, and with a little bit of skill, you can take out night camps too solo.
See, and I guess I don't jungle too much with Gazlo. I have 2 different roles I really play with Gazlo, and there's 2 different builds I'll go down. I'll either go down what I will call the Demolition Specialist, which is I'm not looking at minions, I'm not looking at heroes, I'm going directly for walls, I'm going directly for those things. Or I go down the path of actual DPS, where I'm there to harry, especially like the dragon level. I will really spec differently so that I can hold the actual shrines away from other the enemy. So I'm now harrying that enemy to the point where they're not allowed to click it, so they're never going to get the Dragon Warrior, or we're always going to get the Dragon Warrior, and that's kind of how I play Gazlo. So I'm really interested to kind of see how we play it differently there, Brian, because I think that's a big thing to look at, because I didn't even think about jungling with him. Oh,
yeah. I mean, myself, I totally pick talents and abilities that go great for taking out camps. On almost any map, that's my focus with Gazlo. So some of the talents I take to kind of focus on that is, first of all, I will go with the Tier 2 ability. The Tier 1 ability can usually be pretty much anything, though I will usually take Demolitionist just for the time that I end up pushing a lane. Tier 2, I take Minion Killer, which deals 25% increased damage to minions, mercs, and summons. That obviously, I take that so that I can get rid of mercenaries that much faster.
Okay, so your Tier 1 then is the additional damage to structures.
Right.
Tier 2 is additional damage to minions, mercenaries.
Right. Tier 3, and this is an important thing, and this is where our styles will probably vary greatly here, of course. I take Mercenary Lord, and not a whole lot of heroes have this ability available to them. What Mercenary Lord does is when your hero captures a merc camp, siege giants get 50% increased damage, knights get 50% increased health. That is huge.
See, we've already kind of differentiated, because if I'm playing the structure person, I absolutely take Demolitionist, not a big deal. But then I don't take Minion Killer most of the time for anything. I'm actually going over to, I go to like Reduce, Reuse, and Recycle a lot of times, especially in the Dragon Lord, because now if those minions are dropping scrap, well, and not for structure, but if I'm doing the harrying, I do Scrap-O-Matic Smelter, and I keep going down that because I am gaining mana so I can drop as many bots down as possible, where now I go to, if I'm harrying people, I'm going to Rocket Turret XL or Engine Gunk. I can do either one of those depending on my style that I want to play. Never go into Mercenary Lord. Where if I'm doing Demolitionist, I'm doing Demolitionist and then Superiority, because I'm going to be close into that actual structure. So I want to reduce, if I get hit, I want to reduce it so Gazlo's not as necessarily weak on that side.
Right, and while Gazlo does have a ranged attack with his Death Laser, he is primarily a melee specialist. So taking superiority for what you do is I would say essential.
Well, because really, I'll jump in and I'll drop 2 or 3 scrap bots, or the turret bots, right inside. So I'm getting hit once or twice, and then I'm getting back out. So they're now taking out the turrets while I'm outside of the range.
Now, I'm interested in what heroic ability do you take at level 10?
Depends on which way I'm going. If I'm harrying an enemy, I'm actually taking the Gravo Bomb. Because if they're coming in, I'm now able to kind of suck them in, siphon them in, and force my actual turrets and all my abilities to really go after them. It takes a little bit of a skill there. It's almost like Stitches with his hook, being able to throw that and grab somebody and then eat them. So it took me a little while to get that. I used to always go Robo-Goblin, where if I'm a structure specialist, I'm going Robo-Goblin, because I want that inside doing that damage.
And for me, while I typically get Robo-Goblin, depending on the battleground, I may change to the Gravabomb. In particular, I almost always choose Gravabomb for Cursed Hollow, because regardless of what role you're going to be, Cursed Hollow pretty much pushes that you're going to be team fighting all map long. So I'll take Gravabomb as soon as I can for that. Robo-Goblin, though, tends to be my choice, because the faster I can get down to Merc Camp, the faster I can get to the next Merc Camp and work on that one.
Well, and as you can see, it's transferred into Robo-Goblin. Basic attacks deal additional 250 damage to minions, mercenaries, and structures. The duration of this disabling effects are reduced by 50%. So to me, that additional damage to a structure is huge.
Oh,
Huge.
Okay, now explain something to me, because the few times I've played him, that Death Laser, is that useful for anything?
Yes.
Really? Because I just stand there forever waiting for it to charge up while they start beating me down, and then just run out of range of it, or run off to the side, and then it was a waste of time.
It is usually, now one thing you have to keep in mind, when you're charging Death Laser, you can still adjust its aim while it's being charged. So typically what will happen when I use Death Laser to its full advantage, it's 2 scenarios. One, killing a whole group of minions to, clear up the lane and push things forward. That's one thing. But more importantly, if I am in a scenario where I can help take someone down if someone's running off, usually what will happen is there'll be people in the thick of it fighting. I'll be kind of a little bit off to the side, not in the thick of it, charging up the laser and keeping an aim on the enemy that's running and about to take off, and I'll usually basically kill them with a fully charged laser just at the edge of the distance of the laser before they can get out of there. That's where most of my takedowns against other heroes happen, is with a Death Laser kill.
And see, I use Death Laser a lot, especially when I'm structure killing, because now I can drop my bots, I can stand out of range, charge up my Death Laser, and I can actually hit 2 structures at one time with it, really maximizing my damage on those structures.
Absolutely.
I've
That's
never
key
tried
too.
that. Never even occurred to me to do that. That's awesome.
And one thing, if you take Grab-A-Bomb, for like if I decide to go Grab-A-Bomb and I'm doing Merc camps, one thing,
awesome.
one thing I'll do is I'll throw a Grab-A-Bomb right on top of the wizard. It pulls the 3 knights together right where the wizard is, have the death laser going, and I do a whole bunch of damage to all 4 of them, and that speeds up the time that I get that camp taken care of. I mean, the Gazlowe can take out Merc camps, especially Knight camps, faster than any other hero in the roster.
Well, and it's also great, like I said, again, going back to that dragon level or whatever you want to look to, you throw that in the middle of a bunch of enemy heroes coming in, grab them together, death laser them all at the same time. It's now doing a ton of damage to them, to the point where you get a lot will run away all of a sudden. And you don't have to, you've now protected that one area. So it now gives you that chance to really rebuild, put your bots back down, be prepared for that next wave to kind of come in.
Mm-hmm.
So
Interesting.
I know that when I go to the tier 5 type of idea, I'm going, if I'm doing structure, I actually go sprint. I go sprint. That way, again, get in, get out. Get in, get out. I don't want to be in range of those turrets. Where if I'm doing my harrowing, I'm doing a quick release charge. So I get 2 of those bombs right away. Because I'm notorious for I'll throw 1, and then I'll throw 1 right behind or to the side, wherever that hero's starting to run to. So that, oh, I escaped the first one. Nope, you still got hit with the second one. Sucks to be you type of idea.
And I usually end up taking Dimensional Ripper, which seems a little bit weird because it doesn't really complement the whole, taking out Merc things. But again, it's kind of one of those things where by that point in the game is where I find that I'm taking down other heroes more often than not with Death Laser. So what Dimensional Ripper does is it slows heroes by 35% that are hit by it. It also freezes minions and structures for 3 seconds, which isn't bad when you're pushing a lane either.
Yeah, and then tier 6, I'm going turret, long range turrets. I want to get them to be as effective as possible. So no matter whether I'm harrying somebody or I am structure, long range turrets is also where I'm going.
Mm-hmm. And for myself, I actually take turret storage, which increases the number of max turrets to 4. This just simply allows me to tank Merc Camp solo more efficiently. So when you're putting down turrets, the Siege Giants and the Grave Golem and the Knights, they're going to attack your turrets. They're not going to attack you. So having 4 turrets to put down means you're never going to get hit while you're taking stuff out. And that's a big reason why I don't end up taking superiority if I'm doing Merc Camp hunting and jungling, because more often than not, my turrets are taking the damage for me, so I don't need superiority.
And that's like where I said where I'm harrowing, I want that superiority to take that turret blast. And then obviously tier 7, depending on which heroic ability I took, depends on what I upgrade there. I never look into Resurgence of the Storm or Swift Storm.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever taken anything except the double my level 10 heroic ability talent.
I usually take Resurgence, believe it or not, because what I find about Resurgence is it's kind of about the timing of the game. I find that at that point in the game, you're dealing with very long respawn timers, and being out of the game for a full minute can really hurt for your team. So having Resurgence of the Storm, basically having that ability to get back into the game right away, if you end up dying in a team battle, it's not as punishing and not as bad for your team if you're able to hop back in within 5 seconds. That's why I rarely ever take Miniature Black Hole or Mechalord, depending on what my ultimate is. I just find that being able to get back in and avoiding that extra length of respawn is crucial that late in the game.
See, and I'm still not really taking on heroes at this point in the game. I don't when I'm doing those structure pieces or I mean, I am when I'm harrying, but I mean, I'm looking for the mechanic of the level, not necessarily the hero combat. Now, I'll tell you, when I play Tyrael on my warrior, I take Resurgence of the Storm almost all the time, because as a warrior, to get back into the fray that quickly to be able to do those things, I find that really, really important. But just on Gazlowe, I don't. It's one of those things. I'm typically not dying on Gazlowe by this late. There's not a time I'm dying. And if I am, it's pretty much a lost game for me at that point.
And I think with your play style, you're going to more often than not be with another hero. Yeah, I mean, you're rarely going to be solo as much as I am. So with my style, I tend to be by myself more often, which also means if I run into situations where I could be 2-on-1.
3 heroes now come at you.
Yeah, and that's scary. And that's why I would say is Gazlowe's big weakness when you're playing the strategy I do, is that great for taking merc camps, but man, if they catch you trying to take merc camps, yeah.
Well, I gotta say, I've probably learned more about Gazlowe listening to you guys than I actually ever have playing him, 10 times or so. So that's absolutely fascinating. Now I want to go try him again and see what I'm missing, because apparently I've been doing it wrong this whole time.
Well, I mean, the biggest thing that I found when I started with Gazlowe is I tried to play him like a normal hero. Like, I wanted to go kill heroes. I wanted to go out and do those things. And I had to look at him in a completely different light of, no, this guy is not here to take on heroes. He's here to do one of two things: slow heroes down and get their life down so the DPS and the other heroes can take him out and really support his team, or he's here to take structures out. He's kind of like, I would say, the first introduction of Murky. You don't take Murky up against a hero. You just don't do it. It's silly to do, because Murky's going to lose almost every time.
Mm-hmm.
This is a hero that you don't look to go in and say, I'm now going to... Gazlowe will have the most kills this round. No, that doesn't happen. You are truly behind this... Huh?
Sorry, I said that. Let's. I think we probably beat Gazlowe to death there.
Okay.
If not, let's move on. Before we close the show, I want to give a shout out to a listener who joined us and started listening to the show from Reddit. That's Redditor LDAP, LDAP, a great name for those of us who are in the tech field. He asked the question asking if we can provide more information about the podcast event that we were discussing last week, which is World of Podcasts. That's going to happen right before BlizzCon. I don't think we can give a lot away yet, but Ro, can you explain what you can explain so far?
Basically, right after this podcast is done recording, I'm getting into another meeting with the organizers behind it. We're at a point right now where we're close to announcing, okay, what are all the podcasts participating? We also have some other things that are in the works as far as the event goes. And it's really something where I'll have a lot more to talk about next week as far as World of Podcasts go, but it is taking place at the Anaheim Hilton on Thursday night, the night before BlizzCon. So if you're going to BlizzCon and you get your pre-registration done, you get your tickets all sold and taken care of, anytime between basically 7 and 11, stop by the Anaheim Hilton. We'll be on the 4th floor. And you want to come check us out, there'll be signs directing the way and such, and you'll find it's primarily, there's going to be a lot of podcasters from the World of Warcraft community there. So as far as Heroes of the Storm goes, there isn't going to be as much representation, but Akuzod and myself will be there as far as representing this podcast goes, and there are going to be some of the guys from the Town Hall podcast there as well as Finless and Rulandune from the Hotscast. So there are a few different Heroes of the Storm podcasts folks that are going to be in attendance. So while it's going to be dominated by a lot of WoW talk and Warcraft talk, you'll definitely find podcasters with Heroes interest there as well.
Outstanding. All right, so stay tuned for next week for more details and some secret information I know Ro can't give right now. But
Chris Metzen will be there. Wait, what? No, I wish.
We're getting a moose and the dance studio. No. So that's our show for this week.
Back in.
Yeah. But unfortunately, it's in Diablo, so figure that one out. Right. All right, that's our show for this week. If you want to follow us on Twitter, we are at Prepare4Combat with the number 4. You can email in questions like LDAP had to our podcast email address at podcast@prepareforcombat.net, or tune in to our live recordings on our website, prepareforcombat.net, or subscribe to us on iTunes and Stitcher. You can follow me on Twitter. I am at Akuzod, A-C-U-Z-O-D, or my website, akuzod.com. Alakaz, where can people find you?
They can find me on Twitter at Alakaz, that's ALACHAAS, or they can tune in to catch my other show, GeektopiaShow.com is our website, and you would be able to see when we record and what's going on. We just had an artist on, Jeff Pina was actually on that actually did
nice.
Does Sideways 8 Studios is what he does, a lot of webcomics, a lot of different stuff, and it was really great to talk to him about what's going on and what he's got going through. I'm now reading Dr. Oblivion's Guide to Teenage Dating. So,
All right, that's kind of scary. I'm not going to go to where those jokes would be. Ro, where do people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at RoWow, spelled REKOWOW, and you can catch me on a number of other podcasts, including Realm Maintenance, which is my podcast about all of the other podcasts out there for Blizzard games, and you can find that at realm-maintenance.com.
All right, so with that, heroes, you are now prepared for combat.